Welcome to the GHQ Crew Podcast, where golf meets laughs, legends, and a little bit of chaos. Before we dive into our swinging stories and banter, a quick heads up. The views expressed here are entirely our own and do not necessarily reflect those of the fine club companies we represent. So grab your favorite beverage, kick back, and let's get ready to tee off on a wild ride through the world of golf and beyond. Let's go.
Welcome to the GHQ Crew Podcast. Got it that time, baby. Where if you want to learn not to lose, you better know about these folks from Andrews. You like that one?
Love it.
God, state champions like 16 million times. We got a very, very special guest today. Coach Bergen from Andrews, the reigning, defending
State champions.
State champs. Thank you for having me. Welcome today. Glad you're here. So we've got a 2024 state title over there, I see. That's pretty awesome. That's for the girls team?
Yes, sir.
And how many do we have? We had this debate a few weeks ago on the podcast. I think we gave you an extra one because we kind of got one robbed, right?
Well, there's been two different times that our girls have tied and lost on playoffs. One was a legit go out, 5 players play and got beat. That was Montgomery, man, back in, I believe it was 2001 maybe. That was before I was coaching.
Okay.
And then also I wasn't here in 21, I believe, and the girls tied with Argyle, and it was a crazy tiebreaker at the time.
Yeah. That's a very nice way to say it. I mean, I feel like we won that one. You know? There was, we had Brandon and Emmy Darnold on here, and they were suggesting that was very strange as well.
Very strange.
So, this year's squad, pretty good.
Yeah, I lit it up at the state tournament.
Yeah.
Broke some records that Andrews previously held. First day had a team score of 297. Andrews had never done that. It hadn't been done in Class 4A before, so that was an 18-hole round UIL state record.
Wow.
And then our team total of 606 broke a record from the 2011 team that shot 618. So that was a 12-shot record breaker for the 36-hole total.
Holy
so yeah, that's something those girls will hang their hat on for many years to come.
Yeah. Now I know Z, you played in high school at Midland High, right? Did y'all ever have to play against Andrews?
Mm-hmm.
And how'd you fare? Were y'all were they whooping your tail, or like what was that like?
Most of the tournaments we teed up against them, I think they beat us, except for Tall City. I remember Tall City one year, they did not beat us. But other than that, they were tough. They were deep. Deep.
I just had to bring that up. I didn't know, but I had to bring that up. I kind of thought that maybe they whooped you a little bit.
I played against a lot of their dudes in the NTPJ tournaments too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm cool with all of them.
So who did they have back then?
Hunter Montgomery, Josh Baltzell, GK. GK was a stud.
Casey
Fowler.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. GK went on Division I, right?
He did.
Louisiana Monroe, is that right?
And then went to ACU after that, transferred to ACU.
I don't remember who else was on that team.
Wallander, maybe?
Eric Wallander.
Possibly.
Possibly.
He was in the 14.
Yeah, it had to have been him then. And then
I taught Wallander for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That kid was awesome, man. And Libby. Eric and Libby, yeah. And when I first got Eric, he couldn't break an egg. You know what I mean? He had just gotten started. Yeah. But you talk about a kid with work ethic. And that's one of the things I wanted to touch on today because, man, your fingerprint is all over this. The work ethic that these kiddos have, I mean, you get them from an early age, right? I mean, y'all have got a great program built up there. Kind of talk to us about that, because that was one of the biggest things that I noticed with Eric. man, is he just worked his tail off. And it seems like if you don't want to work at Andrews, you might not have a spot.
You're going to get left behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah. If you're not going to work at it, see ya. Mm-hmm. People are going to catch up to you. So how long have you been at it as far as the golf side of it? Is it 20 some odd years now?
So this is my 26th year Andrews. Not all that was varsity golf, but all of them have been golf. So I started my career as the middle school coach in my first 9 years.
Really?
This is my 31st year total, but 26 at Andrews. And I've been, I guess this is year 19, 18 as the head girls coach.
As the head girls coach. Mm-hmm. And how many titles do we have in 18 years with the girls?
Through the previous 17, 11. Now 19 total, but I've been fortunate to lead 11 of those.
Wow. I mean, that's got to be a record, isn't it? Isn't that a record?
Yes.
Yeah. Got to be.
It's got to be. Mm-hmm. Connor, look that up. Get on the Google. I mean, it's got to be a record. 11 titles in 18 years?
Ask about the last 40 years.
Okay, what about the last 40 years?
So if we advance to the state tournament this year, that will be 40 consecutive years that Andrews has been a representative of the state tournament.
How many have they won?
How many of those have you won?
And there's 24 total, boys and girls.
They're batting 500, bro. They're batting 500 in the state title game.
Dominance.
That is crazy. I didn't know it was that. 11's got to be a record.
For sure.
I keep going back to that, but 24, let me get this right. 24 out of 40.
Out of the last, 23, I guess, actually. Our first ever state title in Andrews was in 1960.
Okay.
Dub Warden was our coach then. So that 1960 wasn't part of this 40 consecutive years run.
Okay.
So 23 during that time have been won during that 40 years.
Well, we'll go back to 24 because the Argyle incident. I'm giving you one extra. That's 24. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Connor, but didn't they change that on Wikipedia or something like that? Didn't you say they had changed it to 24?
It was, yeah.
Somebody had gone in and changed it.
Really?
On the internet to 24. And of course,
that's funny.
I think it goes without saying, Coach, you're so humble, and I know that you don't wish any ill will or anything like that towards Argyle. We're certainly not throwing any shade their way, but maybe a little bit towards the representatives that ran that tournament, right?
I didn't have a dog in the fight at the particular time.
Sure.
I wasn't part of Andrews at that time.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting to me. You look like you played in the NBA. You're super tall. Have you always been into golf, or did you ever play any other sports, basketball? What led you to be a golf coach?
Well, I'll back up. When I was a kid, just like most kids, I played everything. Mm-hmm. I played football, basketball, baseball. Even tried soccer a little bit. I didn't have the feet or the legs for soccer. But my dad got me into golf. He was a big golfer. That was probably the last sport that I tried. Mm-hmm. And just like most golfers, I sucked at it when I began.
Oh, yeah.
But when I played football, basketball, baseball, I felt like I was always a little bit better than some of my buddies. Not at golf. They played a little bit. So I went out and played with buddies in golf, and they could wear me out. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I started working. And then when I started working at it, I fell in love with golf. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, my dad got me into golf, and glad he did. It's been a passion of mine for many decades now.
Now, did that stop you from playing the other sports, and you just started focusing solely on golf, or?
No, I quit playing baseball because it conflicted directly with golf.
Sure.
With when I was in 8th grade, Christmas holidays, dislocated a kneecap. Playing golf, actually.
Oh, wow.
I credit that injury to improving my golf swing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It stunk by that time. But that's having a knee injury, being a tall, lanky kid, football kind of phased out. But I played basketball and golf all through high school.
Okay.
And I think eye-hand coordination promotes both of those sports, enjoyed both of them. But yeah, I was a two-sport, multiple sport, but through high school I was a two-sport athlete.
Awesome.
But golf was the sport that I wanted to continue and play in college and see if we could give it a run even post-college one day.
Sure. How far did we get?
I played, after I graduated college, I spent on and off year and a half trying to play back then Nike Tour Monday qualifiers.
Sure.
Qualified for 2 events, never made the cut though.
That's a tough life, isn't it?
It's a tough life.
Yeah.
I was glad to get to do it. I qualified and competed in 2 U.S. amateur events. 1989, I played at Marion Golf Club, awesome course. And in 91, I played at the Honors Course in Chattanooga. Both of those didn't make the match play. That was probably the only regret on that stuff. But
Sure.
I've had some neat experiences playing golf. Had a chance to play at some high levels.
That is so cool.
What year did you graduate from Andrews, and where'd you go to college after that? Where'd you play at?
So I graduated in '87. Played on the state title team that year. Went on to Western Texas College and played 2 years there in Snyder. And then after Western Texas, I went on to Sam Houston State University and finished out my playing days at Sam Houston.
Gotcha.
So one of my favorite things, especially when we have someone that's been such an influence to so many kiddos, Krista Escamilla. I was on her podcast. I'm sure you know the Escamilla kiddos and stuff. And one of the things she talked about was in our lives, we have these giants, these people that come along that make this huge difference in our life. And I believe you've certainly been a giant to so many kiddos over the years. Who was your giant? Was that your dad?
In the beginning, yes. But for to improve at any sport, I think there's that time where that father-son relationship dynamic can hinder growth a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's where a coach who's kind of nonpartisan can get in there and say some things that you would react to in a more positive way, where if a father did the same thing, you don't react as well. I see that between me and my own son. There was no different between me and my dad. But my basketball coach and my golf coach when I was in high school, Frank Bice was my basketball coach. George Boynton was my golf coach. And because of the influence they had on my life, I wanted to be a coach because of those guys. I know what impact they had for me, and I just hope to try to pay that forward one day.
Yeah. Frank Bice.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the coolest characters you would ever meet, right? Like he kind of had it all. He kind of had that swagger,
He did.
and but you could see that as a coach, I think he would instill a lot of confidence. It seems like to me, just his personality.
Fierce intensity,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah. Like savage in a way. Right? So that's pretty cool. So your son,
We had some really good basketball teams while he was the leader in Andrews.
Oh, really?
And, Andrews, I don't know, for a long time now, hasn't been on the deep run playoff stage known as basketball. Andrews used to be that way. Several deep runs, a few state tournament appearances, and those were under Frank's watch. So he had a very successful program, and not a lot of people know he was the first girls golf coach at Andrews, and the first 2 state titles out of those 19 were under his belt.
Oh, really?
They were.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Me either.
That's cool.
he could play some golf as well as basketball.
He is a golfer. That's
He
for
is.
sure. That is for sure. What was I going to ask you? It was
You were going to say something about Jack, I think.
oh yeah, your son.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing.
He is where I started, at Western Texas.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And how was that? Were you able to coach Jack at all during his time at Andrews?
You know, when I came back, I guess that was the 22-23 school year. Coach Williamson, who's the boys coach, asked if when we have our full swing day, our range day, if I would work guys as well as girls, and then whatever day I was working with guys, he'd be working with the girls, vice versa. So yes, during school practice routines, there was one day a week where I worked specifically with the guys and got to see Jack. But Jack and I also had a lot of reps, just individually, just he and I.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because you brought up the dynamic of that coach-player relationship versus that father-player relationship, and I'm sure you've seen it. We've seen it a bunch, right, where parents come in with the kiddos, and there's certain dynamics that you're just like, man, this is super cool. You know, you've got a dad and a daughter, or a dad and a son, and they, you know, or even a mom and a son, and a mom and a daughter. I've seen that a few times, but the dynamics that exist there, it's very rare that you find one that works very well together, right? It's pretty darn rare. And that's when it's really neat to watch.
Right.
To watch and who comes to mind is like Keith Livingston, right?
And Sloan.
Him
right.
and Sloan have a really cool relationship. Emmy and Brandon. It wasn't always roses with those two, right? They would get at it, and they still do a little bit. But at the core, it's just a great relationship. But it does take a coach, I think, with your mentality to come in to help push those players to a great level, right? Because they're only going to get so far.
Sure.
And really, they just need an outside I guess I'm saying it this way. Most daughters and sons know that their parents believe in them, right? They need a coach that'll believe in them.
Yep.
But they also need a coach that'll get into their rear end a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing. And I think Coach Poss was kind of that for you, right? He was kind of that giant for you. And I think that's one of the things that we could say for you, that you've just done a phenomenal job. There's not a player in Andrew's history that I can remember ever saying a negative thing about you. It's always been very, very positive, and the parents feel that way as well.
I'm sure there's several out there. They just hadn't.
Yeah, maybe
just haven't
I just
communicated
haven't
with you.
met them,
No.
right? Well, you know, there's always one, right? But here's my question, because I've just seen the growth in that area has been tremendous, and the facilities that you guys have
Yeah,
is unreal.
they're pretty sweet for high school for sure. They'd be sweet for most colleges. no
That's
doubt.
where I was going with this. It seems like you do a phenomenal job of really providing that level of facility and practices, right? But how closely tied do you believe your program is to the level of the college kiddos? I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's much gap when Andrew's kiddos head off to college, right? Do you kind of mirror a college program in that regard?
In ways, especially those that have the ability, the talent, work ethic to go to the next level. When they, I know a lot of our players in the past have felt like that there was more, how do I want to phrase it? There was more rigid work in preparing for our tournaments. They felt like, not in all places, but in some places, that the work requirement expectation was a little less at the college level at times than at ours. So I think that may speak volumes of our program. We want to make sure that if they do want to go play college golf, any type of work ethic that they're expected to do, the practice, the playing, whatever, they're prepared for that. It's not going to be a surprise to transition from our high school program to college. There shouldn't be any surprises there because we're going to do all that in Andrews.
Yeah, I mean,
How much of an influence do you think the junior high program has on that?
It's huge. It's
massive.
That's one of our that's the secret to our success is our middle school program. And we've had a middle school program in Andrews for over 50 years, a competitive program where we're playing 5-6 tournament schedule every year. So when we get those kids as freshmen, they don't have that deer in the headlight look. They're ready to go.
They know what's expected of them.
And there's been so many times, Amy Darnold is no different. By the time she's a freshman, she's ready to compete at the varsity level. Not all of them are that way, but if they take advantage of the opportunity as middle school, they've got an opportunity. So I know when we've got, you mentioned Sloan a while ago, Sloan and Abby, both juniors this year. So my first year back, they were freshmen going through that program. As freshmen, they were pretty solid. Broke 80 a few times, consistently in the low 80s. And if you have a freshman at a school that did not come through a middle school program, and assuming they haven't been having private lessons at a club or something like that, they're starting at, I don't even know how to hold the golf club, to where when we get them as a freshman, they're ready to compete, and they've already had tournament experience. They've had exposed to the practices that we expect, things like that. It is the backbone to our success in Andrews, no doubt about it. We actually started last year a 6th grade program. So they, UIO-wise, they're not allowed to compete in tournaments, not at the school level, but we give them a full year of introduction. So they meet at the golf course first period every day. Coach Brock, Michael Brock, is kind of leads that program, and man, we're already seeing dividends in the middle school level. Our middle school coach says, man, this group of 7th graders, they're above any group of 7th graders, more prepared than I've seen in the past.
Wow.
So that's going to help us.
That's awesome.
You know, in Andrews, we've had our swimming program, which is really on the rise and has been for a while, but they've had middle school, or they've had 6th grade swimming for a few years. And our numbers, we were starting to see our numbers fall a little bit on the girls' side at the middle school level. And they're trending up after 1 year of having that 6th grade program. So in the 6th grade right now, I think we ran about 35 kids last year, and we've got about that same number this year. So our
what a great,
it's really neat.
That's really cool.
great program. Wow.
So 6th grade, middle school, high school, we're running 100 kids. That's pretty.
Well,
that's
and
pretty
to your
neat.
point, I mean, you could probably count on one hand how many programs in the state are doing that.
Right.
I mean, there's not many.
I don't know if there's any that have a specific 6th grade golf program.
Yeah,
I don't know that for
I've
sure,
never
but
heard
we've
of
got to
that.
be one of the only ones, if not the only one.
Yeah, gotta be.
And like on the boys' side, the team is so competitive that like you get to their 3rd team on their boys' team, some of their 3rd teamers, their 10 through 15 spot could compete on some first teams in the area.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, to piggyback on that, our guys competed in the West Texas Invitational at Odessa Country Club in Ratliff 2 weeks ago. We had our 2nd and 3rd team competing. The second day at Ratliff, our 3rd team, so that's our players 11 through 15 shoot 309. And that's as good as most varsities, you know.
It is.
And a lot of those kids are made up of freshmen and sophomores. So it looks good for the future.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Keep the train rolling.
Well, you know what's crazy is when you look at this, it creates such a gap and such a competitive advantage from schools that don't. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, until First Tee came along, and even now, it's not very big yet. But Midland's never had that, right? I mean, y'all have never had that.
No.
Like, you just had, either you're a good high school player when you become a freshman or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Either you grew up playing the game or you didn't, right? And so that there's no opportunity, and I love the way you framed that. The deer in the headlights look, when you come in as a freshman, it's like, first of all, how do you even hold a golf club? What do I need to do, right? You're taking people that have crazy swings and so on, and
we're getting to teach that in 6th grade now.
yeah. I mean, that is a huge advantage.
Because every other sport has a junior high program.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I mean, shoot, dude, we had wrestling in the 6th grade at Crockett. I mean, you know what I mean? There was no golf, I can tell you that, in Amarillo. There was none of that till you got to high school. Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew nothing about it. I think the beautiful part of what Andrews is doing, though, is it's growing the game.
I agree.
And that's where it's, I mean, you're talking about, you're building lifelong players, and whether they're good enough to play through high school or college or not, they're still going to get to enjoy this game.
They'll have that opportunity if they choose to want to pursue that. But yeah, they're going to know the skills, the fundamentals to enjoy golf the rest of their life if they want to.
Yeah. And listen, folks, this recipe, let me just tell you, it's how you win. It's how you win state titles. Joe Lombard up in Canyon, Texas, you know, he had an amazing basketball player. I think his son Tate's coaching up there now.
He is.
And Tate was a good little player, but Joe had such a phenomenal program. And again, he started in the middle school. I mean, he reached all the way down to the middle school and introduced kind of that expectation for high school practices. What is it going to look like, right? And you start bleeding that purple pretty early. You know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
You know, we don't do anything that's extra special. There's no magic remedy. I think one of the big things is that we're consistent. Every single day, we're consistently working on something. Mm-hmm. If it's a short game day, there's specific things we're wanting to improve. It's a long game day, there's specific things we're working on, whether it's learning to fly our clubs 100 yards. We're real big on, we have those PRG, our little individual launch monitors. Every time we're on the range, we have those out. So if we're working a 125-yard shot, I don't want that thing coming down at 120. That may land in a front bunker. Right. Those are the things we're trying to visualize when we're hitting a number. If we shoot the lip of a bunker and it's 123, we got to make sure we're hitting a club that's, even if I miss hit it a little bit, it's going to clear the 123. Just, attention to detail. When we practice, we have a purpose. We try to introduce and work the type of, we'll have days that we work trouble shots. We'll go hit left-handed shots, punch shots under trees.
That's great.
Just stuff to be when it's not a matter of if, but it's when we face that situation in the tournament, it's not going to freak us out. We'll just get it back out there and play and go play again. Because we're going to have the left-handed shots that are behind a tree or got to hit a punch shot 100 yards and it can't get higher than 5 feet in the air. Those are things that we'll specifically work on and get ready for tournaments. Just attention to detail, that kind of stuff. We practice with a purpose. We're consistent in it, and I feel like it helps our kids be ready for tournament play.
Oh, man. Big time. Did y'all ever do that?
In high school, we kind of did it on our own. We messed around out there, and we would put ourselves behind trees and hitting out of divots and all kinds of funky stuff. We had fun with it,
which is cool, right? Mm-hmm. But does that always inspire confidence? Does that always get you to that next level, get you prepared, right? When you're stepping on the tee, something goes wrong, because it will. Are you ready? They're making you ready. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's such a cool dynamic, and I mean, I'm sure you did in your own way, but you were also an above average player. What does that look like for a player that's average? that takes them to a next level,
Right.
right? I think.
I think it sure helps. If you hadn't, we've had, you play golf long enough, you're going to have some shots that are just not common shots.
Yeah.
And we try to we don't work on them religiously, but we'll pull them out every once in a while. Just let's go hit a left-handed shot. Let's go hit some crazy type of a shot, and it's take the left-handed for example. There's been several times in tournaments, Coach, I had a lefty shot today. How'd you hit it? I just hit it right back out there and play. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
How much do you think your experience as a player who played at the Division I level, at a really good level, and also with some really good players in JUCO, how does that change your perspective on how you see, whenever you guys are at a tournament, how you're watching the players? Like, what is that? Like, are you ever seeing, like, okay, what would I do in this scenario? Are you helping them with things like that?
Oh, I think so. I think my background as a player at a high level, and some of the things that I experienced in tournament play, preparing for tournaments, things like that. We try our best to prepare our kids for that. But when I'm watching a kid in a tournament, if we're in a pickle, we're gonna, and we practice trying to hit a high percentage shot instead of that go for broke shot. Oh my gosh, that's when the big number is going to come in, and it still happens sometimes.
Them UIL nines.
Yes. But the smart punch out through this little gap instead of hit it through a little 12-inch opening or something like that, you might pull it off, but it might hit that tree and go out of bounds or back at you, whatever. Living through some of those situations as a player, and I'm going to try my best to guide them through a little smarter, more player-friendly type of a shot. We're going to try our best, although they still happen. We're going to try our best to get around without that big number. That's a round killer for any player, and it's still going to happen. But hopefully, by the way we approach it, our boys coach Jeff Williamson is a really good course manager. I feel like I am as well. And we're going to try our best when we're able to be with that kid in a trouble situation, that let's get out of here and make bogey our worst score. We can survive with that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, like getting that through to players is really difficult sometimes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to make bogey. Bogey does not kill the round.
It was my favorite hole to take people to when I was teaching here was number 8 at Nueva Vista. Okay? And the reason why is number 8 at Nueva Vista, almost everybody gets up there and pulls that dadgum driver
Bang
out.
the driver down there where the
right.
bunkers come into play.
That's right. That's right. Or, if you hit it left, you're not finding that. Back when they had it grown up over there. And I took Wally out there, old Wallander. And I had to show him what's up. You know what I mean? And I said, now what I want you to do is I just want you to play this hole the way you'd normally play it. And he said, okay. Pulls out his driver, tugs it left. Okay. I took his 4-iron and hit it right up there, laid it short of that bunker, right on the right side. Then I hit his 9-iron or whatever onto the green to about 10 feet. Of course, your boy made that.
Did you?
Yeah, made a birdie on Wally. But anyway, the funniest part of this whole thing is he makes double. And I told him right then and there, I was like, okay, why? Man, I just got in trouble off the tee. I said, stop right there. It was way before that. It was the decision we were making, looking at that bag, looking at this hole, and not thinking through how we should play this hole to the best of our advantage, right? Looking over here and seeing it's wide open, and then narrowing that with that driver.
Yep.
I said, Eric, even if you hit that ball dead straight, you've got a 10-yard landing zone down here, and if you get the wrong hop, which you most likely will, it's going this way or this way, and neither one of those are good.
Neither one.
You know, we're just not in a good spot. So he goes back and plays it again, and he hits the iron off the tee, hits a wedge up there, and he makes his 3. And I went, see, it's that easy. Even if I can do it, anybody can, right?
So for a couple of years, you talk about Nueva Vista. That was our regional site in 07 and 08. And that hole was, I thought, for girls, for sure, we don't want to be in that bunker 50 yards from the green. That's the worst shot in golf.
Heck yeah.
So that was not a driver hole for our team unless we had the wind blowing 40 mile an hour into our face.
Sure.
That'd be the only time. But if it's we're going to stay short of that bunker. And like you said, hit your little wedge or 9-iron on the green. Get out there with no worse than bogey and let the other teams fall apart right there.
You know, I've got a question for you because this is something that I've noticed. And Z, I don't know if this is something you've seen. I know you've worked with a lot of the Andrews kids as well, but just in you know, through here and through fitting and, you know, Emmy, I always loved Emmy because she's a dog. You know, she's so tenacious and just has that, she's just got that dog in her. I mean, she's a next level type of person as far as that goes. And I would suspect that there were times where her competitiveness, to put it nicely, maybe got her in trouble out there because she couldn't let a shot go or whatever.
That's a challenge we all have, right?
Absolutely.
And she's no doubt just because of the competitor in her. Right?
Yeah. And I've seen her grow exponentially in that regard. She stays so much more here. Now, if she's practicing or something, yeah, she might get upset with herself or what have you. But for the most part, she stays right here. That's been the biggest growth I've seen. And as I sit here and think about it, I'm like, well, Coach Bergen has a lot to do with that because I don't know of one that I've ever seen from Andrews that freaks out. Everybody seems pretty calm, cool, collected. Is that what you've seen?
Seems like it.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody, you know, we've seen a few in here that freak out, you know, but I don't recall them being from Andrews. They all seem to be pretty calm. Is that something y'all work on?
Not necessarily.
Mental game or anything?
But body language is always stressed. You know, crap, this game, it's not a matter of if, but it's when adversity is going to come. It's going to come every time you play in a tournament round.
Absolutely.
And how you handle that, good or bad, it's going to affect how I play the next hole and the hole after that or the next shot after that. We try to preach. My kids hear me say it all the time. What's the most important shot in golf? And they get sick and tired of me saying it, but they know the answer. It's the next one. You know, what's the most important? I don't care if you've hit your best shot of the day or your worst shot of the day. By the time you get to that next shot, we got to be ready to hit that one.
Yeah.
That shot's the most important one. That's something that we preach all the time. It's not always followed, but if they're hearing it, we got to try to regroup. Let's focus on that next shot because that next shot's fixing to be a disaster if they go in there with a wrong
that's how
mindset.
we get the big number, right?
Yeah.
It just keeps you in the moment all day long. You're in the moment, in the shot.
Well, it's just, you know, obviously I'm not suggesting that there's never been an Andrews kid get ticked off on the golf course or something, right? But it just seems to me that mentally, and maybe this has a lot to do with coming up through the middle school program as well, but mentally they're able just to keep it together. And you can see the fruit of that next shot mentality, right? That got to hit the next shot. The most important one's the next one, right? You can see that come through, even through fitting. I've had so many people get so frustrated that they get ready to leave because they just can't. They just get upset because they're not hitting it well or what have you. And I'm like, let's calm down. It's gonna be all right, you know. But very rarely have I seen that out of any of your kiddos, and I think that's a testament to what you guys do over there. You do a great job. Of course, you're so humble, you're probably not going to say that you help with that, but you do. All right, you do. So, all right, put you on the hot seat here. Who's the best one you've ever coached?
Man, it's tough. But I'm probably going to pull out Addie Long, Addison Long.
Okay.
She graduated in 08.
Okay.
Before that group that Addie played with came through high school, it had been since 1996 since the girls had won a state title. And then Addie and the group that she played with won in 07, won again in 08. And it kind of reestablished the bar of Lady Mustang golf, the expectation, and players that have followed them have led with that continued tradition, example, et cetera. But Addie was our first ever individual state champion. She won in 2008. She still currently holds the lowest season-long scoring average of any girl we've ever had through the program with a 73.4. And that was in 08. Now, that's not to say that we've had a lot of really good players since her. But she played an instrumental part of setting the bar up here. And
was Sarah Black on that squad?
So
she was not on that squad.
So this kind of flows with the question that I wanted to ask. If he had to make a team of 5 with one alternate at the 6th spot, who would that team consist of? Who would be on that squad?
And I think, and we'll take.
And it cannot be in the last 4 years.
In the time period that I was there from 2003 to 2017. So I'd have to go with our 3 that have won individual state titles. So that's Addison Long, that's Sarah Black, and that's Libby Wallander. Man, when we played in the 2013, 14, 15, you talked about some dogs. We had some dogs. Mm-hmm. So before I answer those other 3, our 2013, 2014, 2015, we had at least 10 to 12 individual 18-hole rounds where our girls broke 300. That doesn't happen much in girls golf.
It does not.
And they made it fairly commonplace. So that group of girls pretty much coming through that time period. But Addie, Sarah, Libby, Callie Jennings, no doubt.
Jennings, oh man.
And I've got to throw her in there because the numbers don't lie. Haley Bergen, so my oldest.
Yes.
That would probably be the 5. An alternate, I got to throw Addie's sister in there, Kinsey Long. Kinsey was a 4-sport athlete.
Dang.
For 2 years.
Holy cow.
Not a lot of people know that about her. She played volleyball, basketball, softball, golf, all in the same time. So that was a challenge, right? I didn't get her much. Testament to her working on her own outside of golf time, which she was willing to do. But her freshman year, and I got her when the spring hit. I got her 1 day a week. I got her on Wednesdays because she had, during softball season, they had game prep on Monday, play Tuesday, game prep on Thursday, play Friday. And I'd get her about every other weekend to go play a tournament. Anyway, long story short, she makes All-State as a freshman, playing 4 sports.
Holy cow.
Now, we'll say this.
Gosh.
She played those others more full-time. There was never an All-State in those, maybe not even all-region, all-Permian Basin type deal. And she was a very good athlete in everything that she played. Her sophomore year, I put her in there as that alternate, if you will. She played on 3 state title teams, but she in 2010 we didn't. It's the only time that I've coached Andrews that we did not send a team to the state tournament. Kinsey qualified as an individual, being a 4-sport athlete still that year: volleyball, basketball, softball, golf, and she helped save that run of, if we make it this year, that would be 40 years in a row, and then of having at least one representative from Andrews at the state tournament. So she helped save that for us on that particular year because our team didn't go. She went. And then as she finished her last couple of years, I'll take it back. I mentioned that she was three state title teams. She was on 2 state titles, but was 3 times All-State.
Wow.
That's big. And her junior and senior year, she quit playing softball both of those years, and then her senior year didn't play basketball. So she was volleyball, golf the rest of the way, and played on 2 state title teams and had a pretty good career. So that tandem of the Long sisters they've had a big impact. They've left a huge footprint on Andrews girls golf.
Sounds like they were phenomenal leaders as well.
That's probably their biggest quality, and
Yeah.
that's just tremendous leaders. Maybe not even knowing that they were a leader, just their personality. They led through example, not with their mouth. That's the best kind of leader, in my opinion.
I agree.
They were tremendous leaders, and that's a testament to their mom and dad.
Show me, don't tell me. Right?
Exactly.
So you got an unbelievable comment here on our live stream from Shauna Gordon. And Shauna says, always had the highest respect for Coach Bergen. I worked with his dad, so I was able to know this coach on a different level. His dedication to and for his team was truly amazing. I'm so enjoying this interview. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Just awesome. You've had quite an impact on everyone, Coach, and it's awesome to see.
My coach has had an impact on me. It's if I'm able to pay it forward, it's pretty cool to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done that, and it's incredible. So you've got to work with the boys' side a little bit.
And I still do.
Okay. Same question on the boys' side. Who would you take there?
Oh man.
There's been some studs go through there.
Yeah,
dude.
there have. And their most recent state titles, 14, 13, and then a group in 99 had some dogs on it. I don't know if you remember some of these names from 99. We've got Brad Gibson. Did you ever remember Brad? So Brad Gibson, Coy Ellison, whose son currently plays on our team, Dustin Sherrill. Man, those guys, they go shot for shot with Highland Park in 99 and beat them. It's,
Holy cow.
You know what kind of program Highland Park has.
Yeah.
I mean, Scotty played for those guys. They've been historically good for decades. But that's when they were 4A, we were 4A, and we had a group of just West Texas slaps that beat those guys.
Went out there and slung it around.
That 13-14 squad was.
But that 13-14 squad with GK, Casey, Wallander that you mentioned, the Montgomery brothers, that was another group, kind of like I mentioned about Addie, and that group reestablishing the bar. GK, Casey, Eric, those guys did the same thing. It had been since 99 since the boys had won. They won in 13 and 14, so that's 10 years ago now. But you've seen our boys program just continue to rise since then. And when Coach Williamson took over, our guys were probably a little bit on the downside of that roller coaster. He's done a tremendous job of elevating.
What year was that?
So that was the year I left in 17, and he was hired in 17. And for a couple of years, he did both the boys and the girls. So he had the girls that I had before I left, and then started with the guys. And he's been to the state tournament every single year that he's been the boys coach.
Those were the years that golf in West Texas had, for the juniors, there was just like nobody playing either. So whenever it started,
Yeah.
the downtick.
Well, hopefully, if you don't know now, you know, right? As far as Andrews Golf goes, it is the premier program in West Texas. And I would argue the premier program in maybe all of Texas, right? That's what I would argue. But I will say this, Eric Wallander and Libby Wallander are two of my favorite human beings that have ever walked this earth. They're incredible people.
They are. Great family.
High character.
Tremendous work ethic.
Yes. That's what I was just about to say. I've never met two people willing to work harder to succeed than those two. They were awesome. Sarah Black was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I still see Ronnie every once in a while, and Sarah's still playing a little bit. She's not, playing
Good deal.
competitive anymore,
Sure.
but she's still playing a little bit. So I remember Sarah, the first time I ever saw her, and this again is just a testament to your program, but the first time I ever saw her, I was like, holy crap, who is this girl? And I was like, I couldn't believe that. I mean, that was one of the first girls that I'd ever fit in steel shafts. That's how powerful she
Yeah.
was. I mean, Callie Jennings was another one.
Another one.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Callie could do it now.
She could still. I did her last fitting, and she could still play steel if it wasn't for her wrist.
That wrist.
Yeah, that wrist. Yeah.
I've coached a lot of girls over the years, had the privilege of doing that. I've never seen one in person that can generate the club head speed that Callie can.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
It's a different sound coming off the driver. Mm-hmm. It's a guy's sound.
Yeah.
It is.
100%.
A good one.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Sarah, so when Sarah won individual state title, it's her freshman year.
Yeah.
And that was part of that 11 team that set the state record until this group broke it this past year. But yeah, she was
cool.
It's we've had some really good ones.
So I think you've got a great leader in Emmy.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think she's a good one. She works her rear end off and she just wants it. She just wants to be great, which I think is awesome. The sleeper on that team, and I don't know, maybe she's more. You could kind of tell me, but Sloan Livingston seems to be this one that's like could do some really great things this year. I don't know.
And I think we saw a glimpse of her capability in this tournament right here. Mm-hmm. Through 28 holes, she was leading the tournament individually last year, just out of nowhere. And
Keith told us that, didn't he? Okay, yeah.
And she had our low 36 hole total out of all of our girls, and makes first team All State. She was, along with Emmy, she was selected by the Texas High School Coaches Association as the super elite team. There were only 5 girls chosen in Class 4A in Texas, and we had 2 of them. They probably could have put Abby Ballou on there as well, but
Yeah.
we didn't get that one for whatever. It'd have been a coin flip. You could have picked any of them. They would have been great picks. Abby's another one. Mm-hmm. I don't know how well you know Abby, but she's the same grade as Sloan. They're fierce workers. They got some dog in them.
Yeah.
We went to Arizona about a month ago, and boys and girls both won out in Arizona, and Abby won her first ever individual title, shot 68 the last day. So
Let's go.
It's nice. So we've got some kids that can turn it on at any time. It's pretty nice problem to have.
Heck yeah. That's a really good problem to have. Yeah, I mean, what impresses me with Sloan is I think she, and it sounds like Abby's probably got the same characteristics, but, Sloan is right here.
Yes. And
It's never high or never, like Lucas, right? Look up, like whatever, just stays right here.
I'm sure you guys know Chad. I think that's probably one of Chad Campbell's greatest assets. It's just how level-headed. He comes off of a hole. Didn't matter if he was a junior golfer or on the tour now. He can make birdie. He can make double. You won't be able to tell with him walking off the green. Now, he may be fuming inside.
Yeah.
But you won't see it on the outside.
It's like you said, though, body language, right?
Big-time body language.
That's a big deal.
I agree.
I always go back to, Chad probably should have won the Masters. He's standing out there in that fairway and he hits that shot and it wasn't a very good shot. you would have never known that.
Nope, you'd never known it.
You know, that big of a moment,
moment.
to release some anger or dead gummit or something, right? He just club in the bag and went up
That's
there.
who he is, you know.
Next shot.
Yep.
He had to hit the next one. It was impressive, man. Because I would have lost my entire mind and made triple, you know, 100%.
That's that level-headedness.
Yeah.
I don't think
But I brought Chad. I brought Chad up because Sloan has a similar demeanor about her.
for
You know,
sure.
any golfer, they're going to get flustered, frustrated, get down on themselves, but she does a nice job of staying level-headed.
Yeah. And you know, as you said, even if it's bugging the crap out of her internally, it's right here.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, you can't tell. Did you have something you were about to say?
I actually have two. The first one is, what's the feeling after you see one of the players that you've been with for over the years signed to play at the next level?
Oh, that's great joy just to help celebrate that, because that's a testament of a lot of stuff other than just putting your name on that piece of paper. It's the sacrifice that the parents went through all those years, the money they spent, the time they spent, the work that individual did all of that time, because you're not just going to go sign at a college just because you play golf.
Right.
Or just because you play at Andrews. That is, in my opinion, a perk sometimes. We'll get calls, who do you have that you can send me? They don't even know who our players are, but they know the reputation of our program. That's something that I take a lot of pride in.
Absolutely.
Is that they'll call us just to see who we have.
That's
yeah,
really
when
cool.
you take Emmy or any of the players I've had in the past that sign on, just a proud moment. Because I know from experience what I had to do to sign that same piece of paper. It's not for everybody. It's the sacrifices that you have to make along the way. Times where your buddies are going out and having fun. I'm going to go grind at the golf course. Those are some lonely days sometimes. And that's a nice reward at the end when you can put that autograph on that piece of paper and say, I'm going to keep playing.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Sometimes Andrews can make it look easy. It's not. It's tough, and it's I appreciate the hard work that they put in, and they get to reap those benefits.
You know, that's a great point you're making there, though, is, you know, Andrews can make it look easy. And I think so many times people take for granted, like,
I agree.
the level of work you guys have done and just how great the program really is. Folks, you're not going to find a program that works harder than this program. You're not. It's just not going to happen. Y'all put the work in, and you do what it takes
Right.
to succeed, right? And that is why you have so many state titles. 24. Because we're giving them one extra one.
Well, they have 24. It'd be 25 if we gave them the extra.
Okay, well, 25 state titles. 25. 24 and an honorary state title from GHQ. Can we say it that way?
You know, to follow up kind of what you were talking about there on our expectations. Every single year, guys side, girls side, the message is two simple things. There's not going to be a team in the state that's going to outwork us. That's something we hang our hat on. That's the backbone of our program. You're not going to outwork us. There's no way you can. And we're going to be better prepared than you are for tournaments. Mm-hmm. When we go, we're going to be ready to go in that moment. I go back to Sloan and to Abby. First time at the state tournament last year, but we had been on that golf course at Legends Golf Course multiple times, putting a game plan in place. So when the lights turned on, the moment wasn't too big for them, and they shined.
That's
70
that's one of the things.
74, 75, 74, 76 out of those two sophomores last year.
Yeah, that's one of the things Keith Livingston brought up when talking about you and just how well prepared you always are for these events and how you'll go through and
Right.
actually do a course book. And
I have course books that I've handmade over the years. Sometimes I constantly have to revamp them.
sure.
But it's designed for at a time if I'm not with you on a hole, this thing does some thinking for you.
Sure.
We can just follow the plan. I've got arrows drawn to specific locations that we're trying to hit it as a team, and that's the game plan on the hole. It's got comments on the side of, hey, there's a water hazard down here. You can't see it from the tee box, but it's there. Just some stuff like that. For us, I don't know. I bet we made 5, 6, 7 different trips to Legends Golf Course last year. Again, that's part of that sacrifice, right? They could be home sleeping in, hanging out, whatever. No, we're on the road going to Legends Golf Course, getting another round in. So that's part of that sacrifice. That's part of that preparation. That's part of, we're going to work harder than you. We're going to be more prepared than you. Mm-hmm. And we may play teams that just flat have better golfers than us, but they're not going to be harder workers than us, and they're not going to be any better prepared than us. It's, in my opinion, it's going to be impossible for another team to be better prepared and work harder than us. That's what we hang our hat on.
Absolutely. And it works very, very well.
And along with a big part of our program that kind of behind the scenes that makes us a success is just community support. And Andrews, they support golf big time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've been to other places. I don't see the support that other towns give golf like Andrews does. It's tremendous. Our golf course gives us exclusive access to that course at any time, even weekends. Our kids just get a tee time. They're on the tee sheet. A lot of golf courses say, nah, you're not coming out on Saturday, Sunday. So Tommy and his staff at the golf course, man, they support golf.
Yeah.
Not to mention the parent support, and then what we do in the golf program. You got to add all that together to get the full package, and that's what makes Andrews Golf extra special. Is all those intangibles behind the scenes that you don't see.
And it's bigger than just golf. You're pouring into the next generation.
Sure.
Over and over and over and over again. And man, that goes beyond just an earthly work, man. I mean, that's a godly type work, man. It's incredible what you guys do over there. And the parents, as you're saying, I mean, there's so many parents that continue to stay involved.
They're all in.
Yeah, man. And this tournament that Brandon set up.
Yes.
For December?
Mm-hmm.
December 14th and 15th.
Thank you, Clinton. December 14th and 15th. This tournament he set up, what a great event. Are you going to be at that, by the way?
Yes, I
Great.
will be at that event. I wouldn't miss that. That is, Brandon has done a lot of research on his own in figuring out the recruiting process, and it changes all the time on what coaches want, what coaches need. And this is an opportunity to teach others outside of Andrews, but even Andrews players as well. Mm-hmm. This is what it takes. This is what Brandon's going to preach. This is what I've learned, and he'll be the first to tell you he didn't know everything, but he's done his homework over the last few years, and he's got some stuff figured out. And to put this, I hope any junior or senior, even freshman, sophomores for that matter, that has a desire to want to go play at the next level will come and attend this, because it's not just a tournament. It's also going to be a Q&A type of deal, and learn the process of what you need to do as a player. Sophomore year is almost too late now. It's crazy to say that.
Is.
Yeah.
But to start that recruiting process as a sophomore, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches are already signing people from that sophomore year. So it's West Texas, I don't know, some of the bigger schools, I take Texas Tech, for example, they will not look at a West Texas player. Won't do it. They claim that they don't play the quality of golf courses that they need a player to be experienced at. Well, to each their own, I guess, on that deal. We'll send our kids to go play somewhere else, but that's kind of the deal. West Texas kids are behind the eight ball to begin with because they claim the. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people around the world that do not play in the weather conditions we play in.
That's exactly right.
And we develop tough players, mental toughness.
Yeah.
We hit on that a little bit. That's as equal part of a backbone as you're not going to outwork us and we're going to be more prepared than you. We're going to be mentally tough.
Yeah.
This weather prepares you for that. Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
We
You play in
the
February
wind.
when it's 35 degrees and it's 30-mile-an-hour wind. Mm-hmm. That's not fun.
Not
spending 6 hours in that stuff, not fun.
Z, how do you play when it's raining?
Why do we got to bring up the rain? We didn't bring up the wind. We brought up the rain.
Hey, I'm just,
If it's raining, I ain't playing.
If it's raining, I ain't playing. That should have been our opener. If it's raining, Z ain't playing because he's going to shoot 97.
I thought it was 100.
You speak of that.
It was 99.
I've got a funny story.
I was trying to help you.
Yeah, and then wind's fine.
I got a Callie Jennings story.
Okay.
That she shared with me after her first semester of college or whatever. Talking about rain, sleet, snow flurries, whatever. We're on the range. We're on the chipping green. We're in that element and get exposure to that. Now we may not stay out there for 2 or 3 hours, but we're going to get in it because we're going to play in that. You come February, it's going to be cold. We might have some drizzle, some sleet, and we've had some girls playing some nasty stuff. Well, we don't know how to handle that if we haven't prepared in it previously.
Sure.
Anyway, I had Callie and those girls that played during that time. We had some cold, nasty weather that we practiced in. And so Callie goes off to North Texas. I said, Coach, I got a story to tell you. It's what I used to hate you for making us practice in that stuff. So I get it. I'm sure you weren't the only one. She said, but when I went to North Texas, we had a qualifying day and it was raining. And those girls were griping and complaining. And Callie's saying, I'm like, I've played in a lot worse than this. And I think she went out and probably had one of the best rounds of the day. But mentally, she was ready for that. Mm-hmm. That did not freak her out, but evidently most of her teammates, it did. So I'm like, now you know why we did that. You might not have figured it out at the time, but there's a reason, there's a method to that madness of why we would be out there when nobody else is.
Yeah, in Texas Tech, you just keep staying at the bottom because you won't recruit West Texas folks. You just have fun down there, and maybe every once in a while you'll get you a Ludwig or whatever his name is. And he'll come smoke you, but he'll be all right. But you got to recruit out here a little bit because we can play in those conditions. More importantly, we can hit shots in those conditions, right? If it's blowing 30, these kids out here know how to keep it under that wind.
Yes, they do.
Right? They know how to work it in that wind. It ticks me off because to just have a blanket idea of, well, we're not going to recruit out there because you don't play the golf courses that we need you to play.
And that's the excuse we get a lot of times.
Their home course is wide open just like everything else out here. Like, what are you talking about? Rawls has been ripped open 1 million times by people. So, I don't know. It wears me out. And, that's been a big thing for us on this podcast is really trying to bring some awareness to players out here, man. There are some unbelievable players that just go sight unseen.
Yes.
That people just don't even give them an opportunity. But the other part of that is why this tournament's so important. Mm-hmm. So many of the parents or the kiddos don't know how to market themselves in today's recruitment atmosphere, right? So
they wait for a coach to track them down. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Rare does that happen. Occasionally,
You got to be ranked so high in order for that.
I'll get some coaches that'll reach out to me because we're Andrews and say, hey, who do you have that you can send us? But that's happening less and less and less. I only get those when they've got a bind. Hey, about the end of the year, I can't sign anybody. Who do you have? Type deal. And And if we have somebody, we're going to send them a quality player, or at least a candidate for that. But that's the days of that coach coming to track you down. They're pretty much gone.
Yeah.
You got to market yourself, and that's the new recruitment way to go now.
And you have to be, you have to not take no for an answer. If they don't respond to your email, if they don't, this or that, you keep emailing them. Just keep hammering them with it. I like the way you said it when you were going through your process, right? Like if you got an email that said not interested, okay, you could put that one to rest, but you just kept going, right? You stay persistent with it, and it'll pay off. But you had a second one you were going to ask.
I wanted to know what Coach's favorite golf moment was. Of all of them that he's experienced.
It's got to be this one. My dad and I got to play in the Cleveland Golf father and son tournament at Pebble Beach, 2008. Now it's a 54-hole event. The last round was at Pebble. And here are a couple of slappies from West Texas. We go out and win that thing. So to win that father-son tournament with my dad, one of the highlights of my golf career.
That's awesome.
So do you have did they give you like a massive, what do you win for that event?
Well, the winners got a Cleveland staff bag and a full golf club set.
Isn't that cool?
That was our prize. So I still have the bag. I don't have the clubs on it. I think I may have a few of the clubs. My dad still may have them, but we've got the staff bags, the Cleveland, the old red and white ones back then.
Yeah.
And, they just said, tell us the 14 clubs you want, and they're yours.
Had y'all played out there before? First time to ever see it.
Yep.
And you just went out there and won that thing.
No practice rounds. And it was in December. It was between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
And my dad actually surprised me with that invitation the previous spring for my birthday. He said, we're playing in this tournament. It's pretty cool. And
Heck yeah.
during that time, I still coached football on the side at the freshman level or whatever, and I didn't play much golf during the fall when school hit. That wasn't the case that year. I was out there grinding every day. I was not going to go to Pebble and lay an egg.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you certainly didn't. You won the stinking thing. That's
that was
crazy.
pretty cool.
So speaking of father-son tournaments, there was one, was it this year?
Yep.
You played with Jack.
Yep.
How'd that turn out?
We lost by one.
Okay.
And but the final round, I had for me, as little as I've been playing, had a good day. Shot 65. But little man fired 62.
6 deuce.
Say what?
6 deuce.
A little 6'5", 6 deuce?
Lowballed for 50,
the old man shoots 65. He comes out 62. Where was this at?
This was at Andrews in the father-son
Holy
tournament.
cow.
Man.
I guess they won.
We lost by one.
You lost by one?
We did.
How did I miss that part? Who beat you?
Man, I think it was Dylan Dockery and his boy.
Okay.
He lit it up.
Dylan can go.
He can.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's definitely a good player.
We put ourselves behind the 8-ball day one with like 64. And I think Dylan and his son had 60. So we were a little behind.
Yeah.
Had the low round the next day, but we fell one short.
Oh, man.
That's
Pretty
an
cool
awesome
time
comeback.
with your boy, though.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. There's another example how competitive it is there. Mm-hmm. Holy moly.
You touched on facilities
Yeah.
at one point. And our facilities are going to get an improvement, an upgrade. Our school passed a bond, and golf is going to be included in that deal. It's pretty neat. We've got an indoor facility, which we don't use it a ton. I still believe that you got to learn to play golf outside. But if it's blowing 40, if it's freezing and we cannot get any good done outside, we can get a full-blown practice in there.
Absolutely.
We can work short game, we can work long game into the nets. But that's that indoor we've got our own private range for all practical purposes. It's a public range, but it's understood that from 2:30 to 6:30 that time, don't get on there public. That's high school time. So that's to have your own range, to have your own chipping and putting green, to have an indoor facility. We actually have two of them. The second one's just an indoor putting green. Have our own individual field houses and dressing rooms. It's if you're going to play golf in West Texas, you're going to have every resource possible at Andrews to be as good as you want to be. It's fortunate. When we get our improvements, we're going to expand the indoor a little bit and add a couple of simulators pretty similar to what you guys have here.
Oh, cool.
That's going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be
It
awesome.
will be.
Now, do y'all have inside there, did y'all do like the putting green area and all of that? And is it one of those that can like receive the ball and stuff? Did y'all do like what company is that?
So
like a Southwest Greens or
Southwest
something?
Greens. So originally when we opened that in 2012, it had a green that was contoured and had some undulation, some breaks, and you could actually hit some pitch shots in there, and it'd react like it would on the green. It'd check up.
Okay.
But over the years, as the base hardened and it got to where it wouldn't receive those shots, and you'd hit some putts, and the green was so incredibly fast it would just fall and collect down in the low areas.
Right.
So probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we went in and leveled that thing out and just made a bigger but a flatter putting surface so we could work more just on technique.
Sure.
Work on strokes, work on technique, and everything's flat in there. But it's probably a lot more user-friendly now than it was then. It was cool to have that green. Now, GK and those guys wore that thing out, hitting little fun flop shots and competitions and things like that. But it just got to a point where it just wasn't effective, and it is now. But we have a 60 by 40 building, and on the two sides we have full-blown nets where we can have, I guess, 5 at a time hitting on each side. Everybody else can be working putting drills where we do a rotation if we're in there. And then we can open up 2 garage doors and hit straight onto the range. And we have a couple of better launch monitors. We have those flat scope Mevo Pluses, which you can, right now we just pair it to a phone, and it's got a lot of data parameters on there that we need. So we'll use that at times as well. But that's it's as nice as it is, it's about to get an upgrade in terms of our technology stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's a neat place to coach at and grow up to be a high school golfer for sure.
Well, and again, just what a next generational thing, man. And the willingness for the community to just continue to pour into the kiddos. That's an amazing, amazing part of Andrews, in my opinion.
It really is.
It really is.
One of the hidden successful factors that we have there.
For sure. I mean, that to be able to go indoors, and, I'm just curious, because I'll bet you there's several if they have access to it, but are there any, like, when you get into the fall, obviously your days get shorter, and when the time change happens, it's dark at 6 or whatever. Do you have some kiddos that stay behind and
I'm
work
glad
in
you
there?
mentioned that. Our golf booster club, which is phenomenal. They're the ones that allow us to take our out-of-state trips and constant upgrades. They just purchased an expense where we just put lights, where we're going to be able to turn the lights on when it gets dark at about 5:45, and we just continue practicing outside. That's pretty cool. So it lights up.
Are you kidding?
It lights up our 2 putting greens. It lights up our range, and you've seen our range over there. It goes all the way to where the water hazard is on 14. So it's about 225 yards or whatever, and it lights it all up. It's impressive.
Whoa, that's super cool.
So we'll have that is installed. It's working, and we don't need it yet. But
Sure.
when that's been the gripe about golf. Why do you have to start and play at 8:30 in the morning in February? Well, we don't have lights.
That's right.
We got to finish early enough, or we can't compete, and it takes 5-6 hours to play a high school round of golf. But when that time changes and it gets dark here pretty quick, we're going to be able to just flick the lights on. And what a neat little addition to have to just continue to get some work in.
Cool. And again, they saw a need, and instead of they poured back in.
Yeah.
It's just they just reinvest in the kiddos over and over again. It's an amazing program. You're an amazing man, amazing coach, and it's
blessed
just
to be
incredible.
a part of it.
Yeah, it's what an amazing thing y'all have built there. Z, we have anything else?
Good.
Connor, what'd we miss?
So, Z's got a little bit of a call out.
Uh-oh.
Justin Thomas wants you and him to go play in the cold wind because he doesn't think that you'll go out there if it's not 75 and perfect.
I'll play in the cold and wind.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just not
talking
playing in the rain.
Hey, JT, you got me and Z mixed up. I'm the one that won't go out there if it's not, 70. I might play if it's 60. I might. But we get down in those 50s and 40s, I ain't having it.
I'll only do it for a call out. That's it.
You'll do it for a call out?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like it's on, JT. What else, Connor? Did you Google that thing I told you to Google?
So we Googled it last time. I mean, as far as records we could find,
Yeah.
seemed to be the only type here in West Texas, here in Texas at the 4A level. There was like a team up in Minnesota that kind of popped up with some legendary runs, but other than that, it's just about Andrews is the only one.
So UIL run, I'll add this perk just to brag
I
on
like
the
it.
Andrews program a little bit. So UIL, Coach Miller, our previous boys coach before Coach Williamson, was a big stats guy. And he would keep a tally of how many appearances we've had, state titles we've had in comparison to 1A through 6A across UIL. And I've continued to tally that. But some cool stats on the girls' side, we've won 19. The next closest is a little town called Booker with 12. So we've got a 7-title cushion on that thing. We've had 38, just on the girls' side, 38 appearances all time. And our girls' program started in 82. First time that they went to state was 85. So since 85, 38 appearances just on the girls' side. There was a little school called Yoakum, and they used to have a powerhouse girls program back in the day. They probably haven't been to the state tournament recently in a decade maybe, but they had 36. Combined, we've got 24 state titles. There's only one school that has more combined, and that's Highland Park. They've got 25.
Oh, well, we'll take care of that this year.
Hopefully we can catch them this year.
Technically, we're tied, but, let's throw that out there. But, yeah, we'll catch them this year.
We've Andrews has had more combined boys and girls appearances at the state level than any other school in any other classification in UIL history. So we're right up there. It's a pretty cool deal. We're right up there as one of the most competitive golf programs in the state, and the UIL numbers will back that up.
Yeah. So take that, Connor. Way to Google there, buddy. Bergen had it all right here the whole time. Well, I cannot tell you what a pleasure it's been to have you on.
Pleasure for me as well. Thanks so much.
This has been just fantastic, and we'd love to have you again soon. Folks, don't forget, go see Coach Bergen at the golf tournament December 14th and 15th in Andrews. It's going to be a whole deal. They're going to have kind of a Q&A thing with college coaches. Of course, you'll get to pick Coach Bergen's brain on anything high school golf, but also playing into the next level. And then the next day, they have a ranked 36-hole event. That'll be fantastic. If you're from here, if you're from Amarillo, Dallas, wherever, come on. Learn how to get your kid to the next level, but also play in a great 36-hole ranked event, and I would encourage if anybody from Texas Tech is watching. A lot of people are saying this is going to be the greatest event in high school this year as far as ranked events go. Come get you some. See how we do out here at that event. I'm sure in December it's going to be a little cold, maybe a little windy. We're going to get something most likely. Let's just see. I'll bet you'll be surprised how great they play out there. So
in that tournament, it's 100% to benefit kids in this area.
Yes,
and outside this area, but specifically out here. That's what it's designed for. I mean, that's a great vision that Brandon had.
Yes,
I'm glad to hop on board and support that 100%. Yep. It's growing the game, right? It's what it's doing. Outside Andrews, it's going to help our kids as well, but it's going to help others. I'm excited about it. I hope we have a huge turnout. It's meant to benefit them.
Yep. It's next generational.
Yeah.
And that's what y'all specialize in, is pouring into that next generation. And one other thing to add on that event that I think is super cool, all of the remaining proceeds, there's costs, right, for the golf course and so on, but all the remaining proceeds are going to be paid back out to the kids in scholarship. Mm-hmm. So they're going to pay, I think, first, second, and third. And we had a gentleman last week that actually messaged in and asked for, his kiddos were a little bit younger. Bring them. There's not going to be a tournament division for them, right? I think it's 14 and over. Is that correct?
14 and up.
14 and up,
okay.
Right?
That part I didn't know.
Yeah, it's 14 and up. But they're going to have there's plenty of opportunity. If you've got younger kiddos that are in middle school or early high school, you're not quite 14 yet, bring them. At least come to the Q&A portion and talk to coaches and just get the experience, because it's going to be a great thing. Once again, Coach Bergen, thank you again so much for being
pleasure.
here.
Thanks,
and
Coach.
we love your program. We love you, and thank you so much for what you do for the game of golf. That's incredible. We'll see you next time here at the GHQ Crew Podcast. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.